feeling of being overwhelmed and exhausted by everything you have to do, but still worrying that you're not doing enough.
Here at the Esalen Institute in Big Sur, California last fall, the Nagoski sisters, twins Emily, an educator, and Amelia, a conductor, lead a retreat dedicated to beating burnout. The workshop is based on their 2019 book with the same title. Its goal, help women put a stop to the constant rush hour of our lives.
Burnout at its most extreme becomes isolation and helplessness, which are the two most dangerous things a human can experience, feeling like there's nothing they can do. They're trapped and they're alone.
Amelia experienced her own struggle with burnout while earning her PhD in conducting.
About halfway through the program, I ended up in the emergency room, and I was there for 4 days. They could not figure out what was wrong, and eventually they sent me home and said, "Oh, it's just stress, you need to go relax."
Her experience helped shape the book's narrative.
We have lost count of the number of women who've come to us and said, "Yes, I was hospitalized for stress-induced illness." It is so much more common than we even thought.
Emily and Amelia write that changing how we react to cycles of stress helps prevent burnout.
So this cultural narrative of we need to have grit and be persistent. We don't need more grit or more persistence. We need kindness and compassion, and we need help.
Something Zanny Alter, a high school counselor overwhelmed by the needs of her students, came to understand.
I came to this conference because I have been working in public education for the past 10 years, but I could tell that I wasn't going to be able to do it for the rest of my life if I kept doing it in the way that I had been. I work with students who have multiple risk factors for dropping out of high school, and I spend all day talking to them about what's going on in their lives. I would eat and breathe their stress, and it was becoming my stress to the point at which I could always just feel it in my body.
Now Zanny says she has the tools to help.
Having real strategies to talk through is amazing. This is the beginning of the work, so I feel like this is the start of my journey.
Emily and Amelia even learned something about themselves while writing the book.
It was not an easy process. We came to understand that clearly there was something we needed in our lives, and it turned out it was each other.
This morning, we're talking about how to beat stress and avoid burnout. Before the break, we introduced you to sisters Emily and Amelia Nagoski, and their book is called Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And we wanted to welcome them back and talk about how to do that. So everybody says they're stressed. What's the difference between I'm stressed to I'm burnt out?
Stress is just when your body's in an activated state of threat. I need to deal with some sort of problem. Burnout is when you are overwhelmed and exhausted by everything you have to do, and yet are still worrying that you're not doing enough.
And how do you know? There's some people who know they're burned out and they keep going. Other people, they're just so used to feeling that they don't even recognize they're living day to day like that. And it has to take a toll on your body.
Yes, we've actually lost count of the number of women who've told us they've been hospitalized for stress-induced illnesses. Most of us are so socialized to give and give until our bodies fail us.
And what are the tools that people need to deal with the burnout? If you can't go to this workshop, how do you wake up in the day? It's a new year, new decade. I'm burnt out. What do I do?
Tool number one, learn to differentiate the stressor from the stress. The stressor is the thing out in the world that activates the stress response in your body. We all know what those are, right? It's your bills, it's your family sometimes, it's traffic. And your stress is the biological process that gets activated. And it's a process, a cycle. It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's a little like laundry. There's 4 phases, right? There's the cleaning, there's the drying, there's the folding, there's the putting away.
I don't like any of it.
And right. If you only do the cleaning and the drying and you just let the clean laundry build up in the basket, you get a backlog and a clog, and soon you're living out of that basket, and it's not ideal. Unless you go through the whole process, you're not going to be able to return to a place of stability and calmness.
So you think you should go through all of the laundry, fold it, put it away, and then move on? Like, how do you, seriously, but if you're sad, I feel like you'd be sitting at home all day. You have to go to work, you have to go pick up the kids, you have to pay the bills. So when do you find the time to do the laundry?
The is that the things that deal with our stress are, I'm sorry to interrupt, are different from the things that deal with the stress itself. Dealing with the stressors, and trying to deal with the stress itself by dealing with the stressors is like trying to digest by doing the dishes. Dishes have to get done, but your body doesn't know what that means.
I think one of the things you said is that people feel helpless, right? They feel helpless with all the incoming. And sometimes the best tool and the best solution is human connection. You were saying, like what Chanel did for me, saying, I hear you, thank you, that actually benefits both people and reduces the stress, and it doesn't make you feel alone and helpless.
Yeah,
really
expressions
simple.
of gratitude are actually an evidence-based strategy for reducing your experience of stress. That act of gratitude could give you both a wellness boost for like up to 3 months, the research says.
You also say crying.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is that good for men,
People
too?
who say that crying doesn't do anything don't know the difference between dealing with the stressor and dealing with the stress. Crying may not deal with the stressor, but it does allow your body to complete the stress cycle so that you can return to a biological state of calm and peace, which puts you in a better place to deal with the stress.
Unfortunately, there is a barrier between a lot of us and our health, and that's a thing we call human giver syndrome. Human giver syndrome is a phrase we use to describe the belief that we have a moral obligation to be at all times pretty, happy, calm, generous, and attentive to the needs of
It's like
others.
what we see in the movies, like the perfect woman is...
That's the hero.
Yes.
And if we ever fail at any time in our moral obligation to be pretty, happy, calm, generous, and attentive to the needs of others, that we deserve to be judged and shamed, to the point that if there's nobody else around to judge or shame us, we will judge and shame ourselves.
You said the biggest solution to the whole thing is actually human connection, community.
Yes, absolutely. The things we've been talking about so far of expressions of generosity, completing the stress response cycle, these are self-care. Self-care is a first line of defense.
Great.
It's building a bomb shelter because you have to protect yourself from nuclear war. And if you have the resources to do that, definitely do that.
But then put yourself in a community.
Yes.
Exactly.
If that's all we do, we're not going to be creating a world where our kids aren't going to need a bomb shelter. And if we want to do better for them, self-care is not the cure for burnout. The cure for burnout is all of us caring for each other.
Cheers to that. Emily and Amelia Nagoski, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.